No, I don't have it.
Okay, we're going to start.
I don't have. No, I need to go back.
Save it to the cloud, right? Okay, Yosef Tzaddik, hear us now?
I don't hear you now. No. Is your own connected to the Wi-Fi? You have to be by the door, Rabbi. You have less reception. Only by the door you have reception.
Okay. All right, good morning. You don't hear me now. You don't hear me now. I don't see where the volume. Okay. We are on Wi-Fi. You know, Mr. Staffy's going to go further in the Gemara. So, we're still in the Mishnah on the bottom of the base.
Is that be down here? Okay.
The volume is on. The volume is on. What? Okay, Yosef, are we on good now? Is that better?
Yeah, much better. I don't know what you did, but it sounds better.
Okay, Yaron is the man. Bezalel Ben Uri is the man who knows how to make things happen. Okay, the Mishnah on Hayam Base 5b. We're going to have an amazing idea today in the Mishnah. The Mishnah says 5 lines from the bottom around Rabbi Akiva Omer. Rabbi Akiva says, the question is, what is the pasuk telling us, teaching us when it says, good morning, Mr. Cohen, Al pi shnayim or shlosha idim yokum davar. 2 or 3 witnesses, based on their testimony, a matter is established based on the testimony of 2 or 3 people. And the Mishnah's question was, if you tell me that 2 people have the ability to be believed, and something is established by the testimony of 2 witnesses, why does the Torah need to tell me 3 witnesses? It's obvious. If 2 people could do the job, then certainly 3 people could do the job. That was the question of the Mishnah. And the Mishnah offered we had different explanations yesterday. Why does the Torah tell us 3 people if you already told me 2? One answer was to compare 3 to 2, 2 to 3, that just like 3 have the power to knock out the Zomimim, 2 also have the power of 3. They can knock out 3. Then they can even knock out 100. That was one answer. Another answer was that in order for you to kill the Zomimim, the framers, they all have to become framers. That's what the Torah, just like 2 people, the only way you could go ahead and kill the 2, it said it's only both of them became framers. So too, if there's 3 witnesses or 100 witnesses, the only way you can kill anyone, all 100, the whole group has to become a group of witnesses that come as one. The only way to kill anybody, they all have to become Zomim. That was 2 of the answers of one, and that's by comparing it from 3 to 2 is teaching us that lesson that anybody above 2 is similar to 2, that the only way you can kill the Zomimim, the framers, is only if they all became Zomimim. Correct? There was 2 answers yesterday. What do you say? From the word Eidim, it tells us after even more than 3 people, all 100 have to become Zumimim. That's what the Gemara said. Now comes Rabbi Akiva, and he says, we don't need the pasuk of to tell us, to say the word shli shli, to tell us api shnayim or shalosh edim, the extra shalosh, to teach us those 2 laws. Those 2 laws, Rabbi Akiva says, we know without this pasuk. And it's a very beautiful Rashi. Look at the Rashi, Rabbi Akiva Omer, Lo Bahashlishi. You have the Rashi on the bottom of Hey Amid Beis. You got it, Mr. Safti? Rabbi Akiva Omer, Lo Bahashlishi. You have it? Lo Hutzrach L'Lamdeinu. It does not need to teach us those. We don't need the pasuk to teach us that. The Memela Yadinan. We know automatically. Sheshnayim Azimim Esashlosha. We know that 2 people could knock out, that 2 witnesses could knock out 3 witnesses. If there are 3 witnesses that come and testify about something, and then 2 witnesses say, you 3 with us, I don't need a new pasuk to teach us that 2 have the power to overpower 3. Why not? Shaharei hashnayim kisherim l'chol idiot. 2 witnesses are kosher for all types of testimonies. Dinan, and therefore, if 2 people are believed, so it doesn't make a difference how many people the 2 people are going against. They could be going against 2, 3, 100. We don't need a special pasuk to tell us that 2 people have the power to overpower 3. If the Torah tells us that you believe the second pair of witnesses, 2 is the power of anything. So therefore, we don't need a special pasuk telling the 2 could overpower 3. And therefore, automatically we know she'ein zomimim, and also we know that she'ein zomimim ashi yizumu kulam. We know that in order for people to become framers to get punished, they all have to become zomim. Shehari kulam ke'achad nasu edim. They all became witnesses as one group. Ukrak v'hine 8 shekel ha'ed. The pasuk says they testified falsely. The people, the witnesses, the group, the 8 shekel is referring to the group, testified falsely. So therefore, it's clear in the pasuk is telling you that what's the case that they become zomim, that we punish the edim zomim, when the group, whatever amount of people are in the group, whether it's 2, whether it's 100. So from that pasuk, when the Torah teaches us the punishment for witnesses that are framers, it refers to those witnesses as the group that had no right to be here to testify because they weren't involved. They didn't witness it. They were somewhere else. So therefore we know that the pasuk is talking about they were all found to be framers. Because the case of the Torah, the way Rabbi Akiva understands, is talking about the case that the group of witnesses became framers.
Rabbi Akiva, based on what we learned before, who was Rabbi Shimon, or
right?
We learned before,
right?
We said 2 is like 100, right?
2 is like 100.
Rabbi Akiva is just saying, why you need to tell me 3? Because if already 2 is like 100 as a group, so obviously 3 is also the same, like, right? The part of the 100 as meaning like the minimum is 2. When I have 2, I have the, how we call the Azana, what they call it?
Right.
So when we have, like it was 100. So obviously 3 is included in 2. 2 is enough to say.
Morning, Nathan. How are you? Did I not, Yosef, did I touch something? Yosef is not there?
No, he's different.
Yosef is there. Okay. Right. Yeah, yes, but the question is, how do we know that, let's say you say the 2 have a power of 100, correct? But we need to go ahead, and in order for us to, but now we're going to believe the second pair of witnesses. But the question is, does the second pair of witnesses have to make the first pair, every member of that pair, framers, in order to kill anyone in that group?
Yes.
That's the question. Yes, doctor. And the Mishnah says yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Because
what Rabbi Akiva is saying.
Rabbi Kiva agrees to that. Rabbi Kiva is going to say something else.
Yeah.
That was what Shimon said. Rabbi Shimon said you need to have the whole group become Zomamim. That's what Rabbi Shimon said.
You remember what I said yesterday when we started doing the Mishnah?
That what?
That maybe two, and we can do the penalty on two, even if one don't find to be so many.
So that's why Rabbi Shimon comes at the very last. Rabbi Shimon tells us you need all of them to become framers. And the way Rashi explains Rabbi Akiva agrees to that. That you have to make all of them framers. Nobody's arguing on that. The only question they're arguing is what is the reason why the pasuk writes the word three? Is it coming to teach us that law? They have to make all of them framers, or is it coming to teach us a different law? That is the question here. So Rabbi Akiva says, I don't need the word shlishi, shalosh, the extra word shalosh to teach me you have to make all of them framers. He doesn't need that pasuk. He knows that without it.
5b7.
He knows that without it. Okay. By the way, he knows that the only way you can make someone a frame, of you could kill any of the witnesses for framing, is only if all of the witnesses became zomamim, like Rabbi Shimon said. But he does not need the pasuk to teach us that law.
Where's he getting it from?
He gets it from it. Rashi says he gets it from a different pasuk. Rashi says, he says, because the pasuk says that the pasuk says the 8 sheker ha'eight. Rashi says they all became witnesses, like they're like one group. Rashi says kulam ke'achad nasu edim. They became witnesses at once, because we're talking about when we're talking about a group of 100 or 20, it's a group, right? In order for you to count someone as a group, they have to come into, we'll see, they have to come into court together as a group within very close proximity. Each one's testimony has to be within a second or two of the other guy's testimony. We're talking about a group of witnesses. So that group of witnesses comes to court, and you're making, and the pasuk says the case of the Torah, when the second pair of witnesses comes to discredit and make the first pair of witnesses framers, the pasuk says they was an 8 sheker. There was a testimony of false testimony that was here, and the way he understands 8 sheker means that group. It's the group of witnesses. Whatever, how many people were in that group? Whether there was 2 people in the group, 100 people in the group. The case of the Torah, that the Torah says that the first group was found to be zoamim, to be framers, is when that group were framers, no matter what the number of people in that group was. But you need to have that full group to be framers. He understands, Mr. Safdie, but the fact that the Torah says the group of the witnesses. Now, the witnesses all considered one group. They're classified as one. So therefore, he understands when it says witnesses, it means that whole group of witnesses. And then I think you punish the first group. So that means that the first group was completely, they were all framers. That's how he understands the case of the Torah when the Torah says they were found to be Zomamim, it's the group. Is that clear? So the group,
so Rabbi,
you were in the group, 100, it means all 100 had to be framed. I mean, and there's the rule, Aim bo elachidusho. If the Torah says the group be found to be Zomamim, framers, so you have to say it's referring to the whole group. As many people are in the group there were. You can't go in and kill unless all of those people became framers. Yes, Dr. Navid.
Could it be because like you're saying 3, so that we know, even though you have 2 witnesses, okay, testifying, but let's say the group is more than 2, and the punishment, even though you would say, okay, you owe, maybe 2 people should pay since we only have 2 people testifying. Okay, maybe we'll only have 2 zomamim, but we all agree if it's 3 or greater, we need to have somewhere a definition that if you have more than 2 people, okay, they all are liable. So we're saying after 2, because 2 we already know from all the other cases, 3 or greater, and it goes up to 100. But what happens if there's 120?
The 120 and 1,000 is all the same.
Okay,
it's all
so this is where we need the definition, I guess, that greater than 2, let's say, because let's say if you have a monetary case, okay, or let's say, or here a death case, since 2 people are dying, or let's say Shimon owes Ruben $1,000, you have 2 people, it would be 500 and 500, okay? But if you have
Right.
1,000 people, or if you have 100 people, okay, would it be $10 each, or would it still be
Oh, very good. The Gemara says earlier that we're going to divide, when it comes to money matters, we divide it. That means if there was 2 witnesses and they wanted to obligate $1,000, so those 2 witnesses, I don't want to use the safe there. Use this. There's 2 witnesses. They want to
would be
obligate
500?
each guy paid 500. And so with 3 witnesses, then they split it up to 300, $333 and change each witness. When it comes to money, we split it.
But
Okay.
would it be fair for 100 people to die for the
So
sake of one person?
When it comes to mitah, then everybody will. We can't split deaths, or we can't split. The Gemara says we can't split lashes. Each witness will get. If let's say the witnesses try to obligate lashes, Malkut, each one's going to get 39 lashes. The Gemara says.
So that 3 comes to teach us, the 3 I would assume comes to teach us that that's considered a group.
No, 2 is.
Okay, because there was an opinion that says that was of Shimon yesterday. He says we compare 3 to 2. That just says 2. In order to become zomamim, in order to punish the 2, you need them both to become zomamim, both to be.
Okay.
So he said the Torah is teaching you by saying 3 that and also all 3 also have to become zomamim, meaning the Torah is giving us a new case of 3 witnesses by telling us the case of 3 is telling us that in order for you to punish 3 witnesses that became in order for you to punish witnesses, all 3, the whole group has to become framers. By telling us we're comparing 3 witnesses to 2 witnesses. We know the given is that in order to punish 2 witnesses for framing, they both have to become found guilty. So now, how do we know that when you have 3 witnesses testified about something, and 2 of them were found to be framers, and the 3rd was not found to be framers, how do you know the 3rd one is also punished? Sorry, how do you know how do you know we don't punish any of the first 2 unless the 3rd one also was found to be a framer? How do we know we have to have all of them to be found as the framers in order to punish them? So he says the Torah is comparing 3 to 2. Just like 2 people, or both of them have to become found framers. If one of the 2 people became a framer, we don't kill that one witness. They both have to be framers. So too, when it comes to 3 witnesses, the only time you're going to kill the 3 witnesses, any of the witnesses, all 3 have to be found framers. That's what the Gemara says. Rabbi Akiva says, I don't need a pasuk for that. Rabbi Akiva says, I don't need a pasuk to teach me that law. I know it from the fact that the Torah says that the people, the eight sheker refers to the group. The witnesses became zomamim. Now, now that means how many people were in that group? If there was 100 witnesses in the group, you need the whole 100 become zomamim. You fixed it? Wow.
Maybe someone thinks it's majority. That's why it had to say 3 is like 2.
Say that again. See, Nathan, we need to hear for the share, we need to hear for the technical aspect as well.
Maybe someone thinks it's 3 to 2. The majority. That's why they have to bring this down that 3 is like 2. That it doesn't go by majority. Let's say if you have 100 people and you have 52 versus 49, that majority wins.
Okay. Yeah, so good morning. Good morning, Jaime. Hold on one second, Dr. Neville. Good morning, Jaime. Welcome back.
Yeah.
I can't hear you. What did you say?
I said, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Amazing. You came on the second that Nathan Batesh just fixed the computer from a small little phone to a regular computer. You came on that second. Perfect
Great.
timing.
Thank you.
Okay.
Happy to be back.
Yes, thank you. We are on Hayam and Base. We're on 5B7. 5B7 at the bottom. We're gonna get to an amazing idea today, Jaime. So you're gonna hear a beautiful idea of the Mishnah. An amazing idea is coming up. Dr. Navid, you were saying something some idea.
I was saying that 3 versus 2, it's coming to teach us that you can't go by majority. That's why it's saying that 3 is like 2. That they're a unit. It's another way of
Exactly, they're a
explaining.
unit, exactly. And therefore, since they're a unit, the only way you could punish anyone from that unit is that only if all of the people become, the whole unit has to become framers. If the unit does not become framers, we do not punish any member of the unit. We will invalidate that member of the unit. Oh, now we're going to get to Rabbi Akiva. So what does he do? No, that's it. So what does he do with the pasuk? Listen to the pasuk. Here's the pasuk. Comes Rabbi Akiva. Jaime, you have it. Where Rabbi Akiva Omer. In the Hebrew text, it's 5 lines from the bottom, and in English, you said it's 5B7. The fact that there's 7 pages of art scroll means on this side. That means that we've been learning heavy, heavy stuff. So 5B7 under, let's see in the English, where is it? 5B7. And in the English, it's Rabbi Akiva Omer. It's on this, it's in the 5, it's about 5 lines from the top in the English. Rabbi Akiva Omer, you have it? 5B7, where it says Rabbi Akiva Omer, right over here, in the left column, second paragraph. Good morning, Mr. Rappaport. We have a Kohen in town now, in the class. Rabbi Akiva Omer, Lo ba'ashlishi lahakel el hachmer lo. When the pasuk writes, the issue here in the Gemara, just to bring everybody up to date, the Torah says you listen to 2 witnesses. If there's 2 witnesses come to court, you follow 2 witnesses. They establish you need a minimum of 2 witnesses on capital punishment, on other matters, on many matters. And then the Torah says not only 2 witnesses, 2 or 3 witnesses. Create something. So the Gemara says, if 2 witnesses are believed, why does the Torah tell me or 3? If you tell me 2 is enough, you don't have to tell me, it's obvious that 3 witnesses does the deal. Is that correct, Nathan? If 2 does the deal, 2 witnesses are believed, so certainly 3 witnesses are believed. So why does the Torah have to write based on the testimony of 2 or 3? Just tell me based on the testimony of 2 people and we'll know 3. That is the question of the Gemara, the big issue of the Gemara, the Mishnah. So Rabbi Akiva says, the purpose of the 3rd witness, when the Torah says it's not coming to be lenient, it's not coming to tell us a leniency that the only way you kill the witnesses is only if all of them become framers. That we know from somewhere else. It's coming to be strict, and to give the 3rd witness the same judgment as the first 2. What does that mean? 3 people come to court. Really, how many people you need to testify you need 2, right? That's the general minimum on financial matters to obligate a guy money. On capital punishment, you want to say someone did something, murdered somebody, you need 2 people to come to say he murdered him. You can't, 1 witness doesn't do the trick. You need 2, okay? So now, 2 people come into the court, and then immediately after, then a 3rd guy walks in. Second, you walked in first, he walked in second, he walked in third. This guy testifies first, this guy testifies second, this guy testifies third. By the time we got to the 3rd guy, we didn't need him for the case. The 3 people said Reuven killed Shimon. That's what all 3 witnesses said. Witness number 1, witness number 2, witness number 3. Now, technically, the court accepted each person's testimony. So, did we really need number 3 to come to court? Did number 3 really add to the story? He didn't really add much, anything. We accepted witness number 1, we accepted witness number 2, but we still had number 3 out. And we accepted it. But we didn't need him. correct? To make the deal, good morning, Daniel. To make the deal, we didn't need number 3. It was done based on the testimony of number 1 and number 2. Witness number 1 and witness number 2. But the pasuk is teaching us, if those 3 guys were found to be framers, witness number 1, witness number 2, and witness number 3, so we'll call them Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. Levi was number 3 on the deal. But even though Levi was number 3 on the deal, and we didn't need his testimony, but if 2 witnesses subsequently come to court and say, by the way, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi were with us on that day, that they claimed they saw this murder, that they had claimed that they testified about a murder that happened on Sunday in New York. They were with us in Chicago on that day. Not only, you know what we're going to do? We are going to kill witness number 3 as well. Even though witness number 3 was not needed. We did not need his testimony. So the chiddush is, one second. So the chiddush is, you might not have thought, meaning they all became zomamim. They all became framers. Good morning, Ariel. And we know in order to get them, to make them, you have to make them all framers. But now that we made them all framers, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi, do you think we should go ahead and punish Levi when his testimony didn't really accomplish anything? Because it was going to be a done deal without his testimony? So it comes the chiddush of the pasuk to say that if you joined in with people that are doing a sin, even though your testimony didn't make a difference in the outcome, but the fact that you joined people that did a sin, you get the punishment as the people who accomplished that sin. But Rabbi Akiva has a very positive twist on it, which is supposed to always think positive, right? Always supposed to look at the positive side of things. Rabbi Akiva says, look at this phenomenon. I'm going to get back to you in a minute, Yaron, if you don't mind. If somebody joined people that are sinning, and the job could have been done without the 3rd guy, right? Let's say we didn't need that 3rd guy to do the sin, but the 3rd guy came ahead and he joined the group. He gets punished just like the first 2 that accomplished it. 3 people join into a crime, and the 3rd guy really wasn't necessary for the crime, right? But he just joined in. He wanted to be part of the boys doing this thing. He's going to get punished like those other guys because he was part of that group. So the same thing when it comes to reward for a mitzvah. If you have a mitzvah and something could be accomplished without your involvement. For instance, let's say in the synagogue, we need to move the table. And we have 2 people that can move, that are holding, that these 2 guys come, Nathan and Ariel come and they're going to pick up the table. They don't need my help to pick up the table. They can you're right, you're good, don't worry. And they can pick up the table without my help. They don't need me to make the deal. But or let's say there's a yeshiva, and the yeshiva is having an appeal. Someone gave the example when I was learning with someone, they gave an example, and they met their goal. And I joined into something that they didn't need me to make it happen. But I joined into people who are doing a mitzvah, even though it was done without me, the deal was done without me. The reward, certainly I'm going to get, there's no question, I'm going to get the mitzvah, I'm going to get the reward like those guys. So let's give the example of Nathan and Ariel. Ariel will be well very soon from his foot, and he's going to get back. If Ariel and Nathan are picking up the table, they're about to pick up the table, they don't need me. They started picking up the table to move the table from here to there. They don't need me. They don't need my help, but I put my hands on it. I'm helping them as well. I joined in. I want to be part of that group. I'm going to get equal reward to Nathan and Ariel, even though they did not need my help. In a certain sense, maybe it's interesting with a minyan in the morning. In a certain sense, to have a minyan, there is such a thing that we say that the first people get special reward. The first 10 take the reward of all the people that come after the first 10. But there's also, but based on this Gemara, this Mishnah, there's also a certain level of reward that the number 11 and number 12 and number 13 get, equal for making that minyan similar to the first 10, even though they didn't need you. They didn't need you to make the minyan. You're number 11, you're number 12, you're number 13. But you joined in to the people that are doing a mitzvah, you get that reward like that person. So that's a question. So why is it that the first 10 get more than everybody else? It's a different question. But the concept of the Mishnah is that the Mishnah says that when you join people that are doing a mitzvah, even if they could do the mitzvah without you, but you join them, you're going to get the reward like the people themselves. How do you like that, Nathan? And that's what Rabbi Akiva says. And I think it's also, this is the same Rabbi Akiva that when he saw the foxes going, he was there at the time of the destruction of the second Beit HaMikdash, and he sees foxes running into the Holy of Holies, right? Rabbi Akiva saw foxes running into the Holy of Holies. Good morning, everybody. And the rabbis were crying. And right, that was Rabbi Akiva. The rabbis were crying, look, the Holy Kodesh HaKadoshim, it's becoming a place for the animals, like a zoo. It's becoming a place that the animals are grazing, are going. So this is the end, by the way. It's interesting. This is the last page of Maseches Makkos that we have this famous story. It says, the rabbis were crying. And what was Rabbi Akiva? Rabbi Akiva was smiling. He was happy. So they say to Rabbi Akiva, why are you crying? Why are you laughing? So he says, what do you mean? They said to the rabbis, why are you crying? So the rabbi says, this is the place that the Torah says, if a stranger, non-Kohen, would go to this place, he gets punished. And here we have the foxes going into this Holy of Holies. I'm not going to cry. So Rabbi Akiva says, but that's why I'm smiling. Because the pasuk says, because he learns out the pasuk says, after the foxes, it's true. That will happen. But there's another, but it also says that after those things will happen, eventually there will be the geula, there'll be the redemption. So you looked at the positive side. Yes, the foxes are here. This is a fulfillment of the negative nevuah. The nevuah that the prophecy there'll be trouble, that people will go ahead and, but there's another prophecy that says that the Jewish people will be back in Israel. So here he looked for the silver, the beautiful lining, and maybe that's also why he finds over here in our Mishnah the great reward that you'll get for joining into people. Even so, don't ever think they could do it without me. A lot of times they don't need my help. What do I got to get involved in this project? What do I got to go ahead? Sometimes in life, a project for the community. They're taking care of it. They're able people. They don't need my help. They can do it without me. Right? That's a mentality. But you know what? Be part of that project. Because even if they could do it without you, right, Mr. Feldman? But the fact that you joined a positive project, you were part of that mitzvah, you're gonna get reward like those guys that were doing it without you. But how do you like that, Daniel? But you're part of it. And therefore that's what we have to connect to. So that's what Rabbi Akiva says. In Cain, the pasuk punishes the people that join the sinners. Those framer number 3 join the first 2 framers. He gets the same punishment. He's going to get killed by the court for joining the first 2 framers. Even though he wasn't needed to frame the guy, but he wanted to join the group of guys to frame the guy. So Allah has kama v'kama. How much more so Yeshalem Sachar? God will repay reward lenitva la'osei mitzvah. When you join people that are doing a mitzvah, how much more so you're going to get reward ka'osei mitzvah, like the people that do the mitzvah. And Rashi says, how do we know that the reward is so much more than the punishment? So if you look at the last Rashi, a very famous idea, the last Rashi on the page, 2 lines from the bottom, Nathan, you got it? Allah has kama v'kama. Shematzino mida tova merubah mida peronio. We find that reward is much greater than punishment. That the way God works He's always looking to give much more reward than he's looking to give punishment. When Midah Tovah Omer, when it talks about Midah Tovah, Rashi says, Notzer Chesed V'Alafim. Hashem will guard the kindness that you do, an act of kindness. For 2,000 generations, you're going to be rewarded for that act. What you do today is going to have effect on thousands of generations. Hashem will guard it. It's in his computer. He has it. It's not going anywhere. And people in your generations, your children, your grandchildren, many blessings that you have today is maybe because of what your great-grandfather did, your 10 generations ago. Who knows how many generations ago? So, but it says 2,000 generations. When it comes to punishment, it says, for up to 4 generations, if children follow the bad deeds of their father, their grandfather, if they follow the bad deeds, Ariel was listening very carefully. If they don't follow bad deeds, no one's punished for their father's bad deeds. If they don't follow their father's bad ways, but up to 4 generations, the God will punish. 4 compared to 2,000, it's 1 to 500. So we say the Midah Tovah, the reward is 500. Hashem gives 500 times reward greater than he gives punishment. That's the ratio over here. So now the Mishnah continues. Umashnayim. The Mishnah says, Mashnayim nimsa echad mehem korov posol. When you have 2 witnesses, if one of the witnesses is a relative, let's say one of the witnesses come to court and he's a relative. Now there's certain laws exactly what level of relatives, but he's a relative to any of the players in the case, right? The plaintiff, the defendant, or the other witness. You know, one of the questions, I remember I was a witness at a wedding, and Chacham Rafaul was the Mesadek Kedushin. He was officiating. So he said to me, are you related to anybody? Are you related to the he meant to say you're related to the Chatan or the Kala or the other witness, because I can't be a witness here. Now I'm about to be a witness on a marriage, and I can't be a witness if I'm related. That will invalidate me to be a witness. So he asked me, good morning, Rabbi. He asked me, am I related? I said, I'm not related. Okay, now we can go forward to be the witness. Or else you would be pasul. You would be an invalid witness if you were related to one of the members of the. So that's what the Mishnah says. So the Mishnah says, now if one of them are related, see, we know if you have 2 people, if one of them are related to the other guy, it will invalidate the other guy. So he also says, we learn out, if you have more than 2 people, if you have a group of 3, a group of 10, if one person in the group is related to the other members, that will invalidate the whole group. You're one unit. You're one, like Dr. David said, you're one unit. If any member of the group is related, it will knock out the whole.
What do you mean 1 unit exactly by saying 1 unit? Because if one is related, so they can separate himself from the group.
But once he comes in, we're going to see more details, Joseph. If he came in together as them, or he saw the testimony together, it's going to affect everything. Have a great, as long as he's part of that group, we're going to define soon what does it mean to be part of that group, Joseph. Once he's part of that group, he knocks out those groups. Good to see everyone back.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Yaron, for helping with the electronic today.
Yes, Nathan, Joseph is giving you a special thanks for helping with electronic. Welcome. Good to Jaime, good to see you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for being on. Yes, great. Thank you. Nathan, how do you? Yeah. No problem. I wanted to ask you time to learn.
So at that time I didn't. Today I'm
very good. So, so I presume sometime in the afternoon we can make something happen.
afternoon.
Okay. Call me if you don't care for me. Okay. Thank you for being here.